But what we are talking about in 2023 is AI, right? Generative AI is the big buzz. But how has 2023 changed your game? Hello, and welcome to episode 69 of Great Things with Great Tech, the podcast highlighting companies doing great things with great technology. My name's Anthony Spiteri, and in this episode, we're exploring the world of software development and consulting services with a leading company that excels in delivering industry-focused software solutions. They empower businesses with software development expertise and cutting-edge technologies. That company is InvoZone, and I'm talking to Furqan Aziz, the CEO of InvoZone. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much, Anthony. Pleasure to have this podcast with you today.
So, hey, just before we get on to InvoZone and talk about, what you're doing in this space, if you like great things with great tech and you'd like to appear on the future shows, please click on the link on the show notes and register your interest, or head to gtwgt.com and check the links there. Just as a reminder, you can catch all episodes of GTWGT on all good podcasting platforms: Google, Apple, Spotify, all hosted and distributed by Spotify Podcasts. And as a final reminder, head to YouTube, click the like and subscribe button, and also alert, because that way you'll get all future episodes. So with that out of the way, let's talk about InvoZone and talk a little bit about your history and how you came to found the company. And I think this is really good just to sort of lay the foundation here. InvoZone is such a different company to what I've had on the show before. This is a true software development house, and also the first one I can say with confidence that was founded out of Pakistan.
Well, yeah, it is very interesting thing, and I have had a very long journey. I would try to summarize it because we have a time constraint here. I started the very, very first venture in my life in 2014, and then that was a failure. That startup was with one of my friend as a partner, and that failed because the collaboration between the partners didn't went very well. And then I made another attempt in 2017 with two of my friends' partner, and again the result was exactly same. This time again, I was not able to kind of have that ideal collaboration and coordination with my partners, and we had to kind of shut it down once again. But then after 2017, I went into some CTO role. I started serving to some US-based startups as a chief technology officer or as a kind of solution architect or technical project manager sort of roles. And while serving those tech startups, I was feeling that the talent is big constraint for those all tech-enabled companies. Because all of those companies that I was working with were tech-enabled companies. They were trying to develop some sort of product a tech product that they were trying to digitalize some real life problems, and they were struggling with the tech talent that was kind of key component or key kind of requirement of developing some software solution. So and when I looked at Pakistan was having a huge number of available technical resources or software engineers or quality assurance people or project managers available here. And I found a huge gap there between the North American and European market versus this Asian Pakistani market. So I decided to establish one organization who is gonna solve the problem of all those CTOs and head of engineering or VP engineering to struggle with the tech talent and struggle with the timelines and deliverables by offering a managed service for them. So InvoZone is kind of managed service provider for the tech enabled companies to offer the software development services to them, or quality assurance services to them, or project management services to them. So we kind of working right now with 80 plus clients and around the globe. Of course, we are kind of not limited or rigid or strict to one region. We are working with anyone from any country, any region, because this is the era of remote work. You can connect with anyone over Zoom, Meet, Slack, or email or whatnot, and we are kind of working with 80 plus projects or clients or teams from different countries and regions right now, and kind of running with 500 plus headcount at the moment. So
Okay,
we have
wow.
500 plus, yeah, 500 plus developers or quality assurers working with different projects at the moment. So that's quick brief history and quick brief what exactly we are doing. Would love to take next question from your side.
Yeah, that's a really good roundup. So yeah, it definitely is a different kettle of fish to what I usually have on. But I guess at the end of the day, it's all software, right? And I guess what the company's offering, what InvoZone is doing, is actually outsourcing a problem that would be internal to a company. So you talked about the fact that you spent some time inside an organization as that decision maker, as that CTO, trying to wrangle the resources, trying to do the projects internally, and you saw the problem, and then from that you thought, well, why can't I solve this by leveraging some of the technology talent that's in Pakistan? And it's funny because I think to a certain extent Pakistan gets forgotten quite a bit next to India in the subcontinent in terms of not so much cricket. We've talked about cricket before. We both love our cricket, which is always good to talk about. But I think it gets forgotten in terms of tech. So we can't forget that there's a really strong tech talent in Pakistan as well. Is that something that I guess is just intrinsic to the subcontinent, or is there something else that drives it within India and more specifically in Pakistan?
This is not about kind of the region. This is not the regional stuff, I guess. This is the interest of the people. So in any region,
Interest,
if
yeah.
there is an interest driven, or people start taking interest into specific technology or a specific domain. Maybe some people are some region is specifically driving their focus toward medical science probably, or maybe aeronautical science, or maybe geographical science probably. So it is the basic interest where you kind of put your community into, and then community side kind of take the ripple impact and grows up. So that's how India and Pakistan looks like. This region is specifically very well focused on information technology. The universities, the education segment is playing a very critical and very important role, kind of delivering those required kind of education to the youngsters, to the young
Yes.
graduates, and then they become the part of the industry as well. And then after university, there is a huge industry segment available on the local grounds in Pakistan specifically, that kind of retrain those university graduates to become the top talent that kind of compete with the in US based or European based tech talent. So that's how it looks like.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned, I think it really it's the nurturing of the system, the school system, the universities to be able to create not only interest, because interest only goes so far, but to be able to nurture talent to get them into a company like InvoZone is very important. You mentioned 500 employees at the moment. So does that grow with every new customer that you get, or how is it structured? I'm always interested in these software development houses like yourself when you're outsourcing like this. Does the whole 500 work together to create certain pockets of programs, or is a certain team, say 20 or 30, dedicated to a certain customer? How does it structure?
Uh, the dedicated part is the right explanation of that thing. So let me quickly explain how the whole model works. We initially at InvoZone specifically, we kind of hired the people first. By predicting the need of the market, we kind of understand that, okay, what sort of technology is becoming coming into the demand. For example, AI was kind of quite in spike or hype or in demand for 2023, while Metaverse was quite in demand in 2022, and
Okay.
blockchain was in demand in 2021. And in 2020, it was Elixir or Golang, such technology. So every year there is a technology that's gonna go into a hype. We kind of predict that based on our knowledge, based on our kind of analysis, and there's many indications that we kind of keep in consideration to analyze what sort of technology would be coming in demand. We on the demand side, we kind of hire the resources and engineers upfront and put them into a free pool. There is a concept of free pool or bench where
Okay.
we kind of put all the free engineers, quality assurers, designers, artists, for managers sit onto a free bench and wait for new project to start. So that's one
Okay.
component, and the another component is we kind of have sales and marketing teams who kind of approach the people, who approach the VP engineering, head of engineering, or CTOs to grab their outsource needs. Sometimes people really don't understand if they want to outsource or they need to outsource, but we kind of educate them at the same time. And when they are ready to outsource their part or full of their project, or maybe sometimes they already have an in-house team and they just want to augment some of the helping hands into their existing team. So they really don't want to outsource the project, but they want to source an existing resource into an existing team. So that's also is kind of model that we offer as a resource augmentation. So there are two models: resource augmentation and the product development. In the resource augmentation, people normally do have their own teams. We just kind of augment our engineers, designers, or artists or publishers into their team, and they become our engineers become part of their team. Sort of. And then when they don't need that engineer, they kind of offboard the engineer and we put that engineer back to the free pool or bench again. And similarly, if we go into the product development model, we kind of gather the requirements, prepare a plan, product plan, and resource plan. And then once we sign the contract, we engage the engineers, our designers, the required resources from our free pool into a product. This product is led by a product manager internally from our side. And we kind of keep delivering the milestones every week or every 2 weeks. That's how it normally works. Once the project is delivered, we put those engineers back to the bench again. So
that bench is that bench is really interesting. And the pool, I understand the pool sense, and that's kind of why I asked the question. An interesting thought that I just had is that while they're on the bench or while they're in the pool, do they become a contractor or are they still employed? How does that work? Without getting into too much detail, but it's kind of intriguing to say from a business perspective, from a software development house like yourself, when you got this pool and this bench, how do you keep them engaged and I guess gainfully employed?
Right, that's a very interesting question. All of our people are fully full-time employed. We don't onboard any contractor because we have done that before. But the seriousness and loyalty and long-term engagement perspective, the contractors are not very good. I don't discuss contractual work, but again, it does not fit our business model. So we have to have all the engineers or people on our payroll all the time, even when they are on a free pool. So when people are in free pool, we kind of engage them on reskilling and upskilling of their kind of tech skills.
I get
because
it. Right.
There is always a space available to expand your skills. For example, you are a DevOps engineer, so probably you are just an expert with AWS cloud. So we may start engaging you training onto the Google Cloud as well, or Azure as well, or some other clouds as well. So it helps you and helps us for future engagements. That's how it looks like.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally get it. So that's good. And that's what I was wondering, whether they were still employed, but obviously when they're on the bench, they're training up, then they're getting reskilled to be able to go to the next job. So that's really interesting. You mentioned AI. We're going to definitely hit on that in the last part. I did have so in terms of what services you offer and what your sweet spot is, you mentioned DevOps, you mentioned public clouds like AWS or Google. So what sort of development are you doing? Is it more end applications where the platform doesn't matter, or do you work specifically with certain platforms like AWS, the serverless products there, Kubernetes? Like what sort of is your core strength, or is that part of the fact you got 500 people so you can be pretty much good at whatever you need to be?
Oh, yeah. I have divided InvoZone. It is not 500, actually, it's 620 people right now. So 620 people. I used to say 500 plus because the headcount goes up and down with the, it's not stable all the time. So it's 620 today while we are talking. So I have divided the 620 engineers or people into 3 verticals. One is InvoBlocks, one is InvoGames, and third one is InvoZone. InvoZone is actually the primary company as well as the biggest vertical. InvoBlocks is blockchain vertical, where we work on all the blockchain related projects, all the Web3 related projects, where it comes the crypto marketplaces, NFT marketplaces, P2P marketplaces, crypto exchanges, dApps, decentralized apps, or DeFi for decentralized finance, any sort of mobile or web application that have any sort of involvement with Web3 or blockchain. It can be healthcare, fintech. Most of the time it is fintech, but it can be healthcare, fintech, social media or social platform or e-commerce platform, or something like that. So that comes under InvoBlocks. And there is another vertical called InvoGames. InvoGames is purely working on game development and metaverse. So game development comes with mobile games, PC games, console games, and VR or virtual reality based games. So these are the games that we are working on. It covers all the fantasy games, strategy games, first person shooter games, and
Wow.
some
Okay.
sort of hyper casual games. So these are the games that we are developing under Invo Games. And there is third vertical that's called InvoZone itself. It has typical mobile and web application development, but for AI-based products or any sort of products that comes with healthcare, ed tech, health tech, or e-commerce stuff. So our
Very
major
cool.
focus is health tech, ed tech, fintech, and e-commerce. These are the four major verticals or industries that we are focused on inside InvoZone.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I did read obviously the split that you had there, and I've noticed that you were at some game development conference as well. So the game part of it's really cool, and I guess you talked about the progression and what's hot, right? Obviously AI was hot today. You mentioned Metaverse was extremely hot last year, and then Web3 and crypto has been, and DeFi has been going as well. But obviously that's tapered off a lot. So how much more what percentage would you say, or maybe not a percentage, give an indication of, is crypto dead? Is Web3 dead, or is it still active and bubbling and ready to take off again effectively? And you've got a split certain zone of the company set up for it. So obviously you think it's still going to be something that is going to be going in the future effectively.
For the blockchain, for the crypto part specifically, cryptists are expecting a surge in the crypto prices in 2024, in March or April 2024. That's my prediction based on the numbers and based on history. So every 4 years there is a halving or a hype expected, and the last hype was in 2018, and next hype is in the prices of the crypto is expected in 2020. The last hype was in 2020, and next hype is 2024. So every 4 years we see a hike in the crypto prices. So the best time to invest into any stock or any kind of option is when the prices are lowest possible. Right now, the prices in the crypto space is on the bottom line, and we can invest whatever money we want to. And in 2024, we are expecting our Bitcoin to be $100,000 for one Bitcoin. That's
all right.
the
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. I'm happy with that. Yes.
Exactly.
I'm one of those guys that's hodling and holding on. And I was very big in the DeFi world. I got addicted to it like a lot of people back in 2021. And it's quite exciting, right? And all the new projects that were coming off. The really cool thing about that was that you knew that there was a lot of programmers behind this. There was obviously teams that were working to be able to pump out different projects. And let's be honest, some of them were a little cagey, a little dicey, absolutely. But I think that's what you get in any sort of hype cycle of any new technology. So it's quite interesting that you've still got that, and you're outwardly still talking about the Web3 crypto. Metaverse, absolutely, I think is going to be something that continues to grow quite a lot. You mentioned as well that you're working within the gaming, so the Metaverse is kind of built into your gaming, which makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, the stuff that Meta are doing with their Oculus product, the mixed reality stuff, it's all pretty significant. So it's pretty cool that you're still in that world, and I kind of like it. So yeah, I really respect you for staying strong and believing in it, because it's something that a lot of people certainly aren't talking about in 2023. But what we are talking about in 2023 is AI, right? Generative AI is the big buzz. And we, that's set up in a way that it's not going to potentially crash like we've seen with crypto. But I think in a way, the hype will decrease and the actual use cases will level out, and we'll start to see the applications come through. But I guess from your point of view, this give us a little bit of background about how you're embracing AI. And I know you've been doing this for a few years, because I've read some notes that you've been going into the AI space and ML space for a while. But how has 2023 changed your game?
All right. So we used to have an AI team all the time. since 2020, and we were having around 12 people all the time in our team for some AI related projects. One thing we need to understand, AI is not new. AI is in the market since 2010. So it's more than 13 years. People are talking about AI in practice, actually. So in theory, AI is much, much older. I passed my graduation in 2012, and at that time, I was forced to take a course for AI, artificial intelligence. So it's mean AI was existent even before that. But in practice, AI started taking over the world in 2010 and 2023 with the hype of ChatGPT. Everyone started talking about AI too much, and then that I believe it's the right time to talk about this, because AI, specifically the generative AI here, is here to help us and save our time and the effort that human was doing to generate something for days or weeks or months. It can be done with some sort of large language model or similar models within some milliseconds or some seconds or minutes or hours, like the time that is required to achieve a task by a human versus generative AI bot or model is kind of huge gap. There is a huge gap. You would see things coming faster and faster in the tech space now onward, because, for example, now we can generate any sort of code from generative AI. We're using ChatGPT. A developer don't really need to write the whole code base. We used to rely on Stack Overflow quite a lot. We used to rely on GitHub quite a lot for stuff. But now people are not going, or developers or engineers are not going to Word, sort of GitHub or Stack Overflow. They just go to ChatGPT and then just type their query, and ChatGPT is giving them. ChatGPT is one example. We are not explicitly kind of promoting ChatGPT here specifically, but that is just an example, publicly available a portal or platform that you can use. So people are going and writing the code, but even clients are doing that now. They're not going for minor, smaller tasks. They're not going to be kind of in touch with software developer or engineer. They are simply going to the ChatGPT and they're DAL-E for specifically generating the images from the data. And even Adobe Photoshop now have that plugin where you can simply generate the missing pieces or kind of mutate or change the specific image based on your requirements. So
I've seen that. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I saw an example of that. It's insane.
Exactly, and there are tools that generate the videos based on your generative AI based on your input. So you now can see that everything is kind of getting the automation. But one thing is super important here to talk when we talk about AI. It means we need to give them the right prompt, right command, right instruction to generate the right outcome. If you don't really know the prompting is another language that human need to understand. Now, today, everyone needs to learn prompting. No one need to learn C, C++, Java, or PHP. Everyone needs to understand or learn prompting for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, so, and actually to that point, we've seen the jokes about, now we're looking for prompting engineers, right? And I've seen that start to filter through on the socials, and it's true, because to a certain extent, say me, I'll be very honest, and I've been honest about this all my career, is that I did computer science out of university, but I failed it miserably. I didn't want to do it as a career, and I was happy with that. But I always worked with coders, with programmers. I always understood the code. I understood how to work with a development company, right? And developers. Yeah. So now for me, I've got ChatGPT and whatever it might be as a platform, but I also treat that as my development house. So in my tinkering, I'm able to do some things now through prompting, and you've got to be pretty good at the prompting. And sometimes it doesn't work the first time. You slightly adjust the prompt to get what you want. You've got to manipulate the model to really get the outcome you want. So I think when you say that, you've got to be good at prompting, it's definitely the way of the future, though. Yep. I think it's interesting that you're saying that, you're embracing it as well. And I understand that it needs to be embraced, but when you say that, does that mean that you're okay with your developers using it to make their jobs more efficient?
Absolutely. Well, why I would like someone to spend 2 weeks to generate or produce something with their own hands as a human, rather than if they can produce that within 2 hours from ChatGPT. So why I would, of course, the outcome is same. Maybe outcome from the ChatGPT is much better because it is collecting the data from thousands of the websites from the internet, and is producing the best optimal outcome, and maybe human produced code is not that optimal. So probably I'm absolutely fine, but there is one catch here. The intellectual property or the data security or the security or privacy part is one concern.
Yes.
Sometimes we are quite crazy about privacy that may not help us into this direction. For example, if I generate some code base from ChatGPT and I just copy that and use into my code base, it means the code generated by ChatGPT is also now in the database of ChatGPT as well. So anyone else can produce the same code. So there is no intellectual property kind of restrictions onto that part.
I was always wondering about that, actually. So I was wondering, when you create it and the model responds, does it then re-ingest that through its learning mechanism, right? It's human. I know that it has human reinforced learning as part of its process, but I didn't think that it was actually, I thought it was reinforcing by the responses that the human gave it, not what it was giving it. So that's quite interesting.
I guess if you see on the ChatGPT specifically, and even DALL-E or what others, they have a thumb up or thumb down against every answer. So you can, that's kind of reinforced learning or human feedback. So if you don't really give a feedback, it means the answer was correct. Or did they kind of feed or kind of retrain their model based on the outcome generated by the AI? That's how the AI model kind of keep getting efficient day by day.
Do you see that as being an issue, though? Obviously, the privacy, the IP has come up numerous times. And in fact, I think last week, OpenAI did get sued for the first time by a particular entity. Interestingly enough, I'm not sure if you noticed, but they pulled the Bing web search plugin. I wonder if that was related to that, actually. I haven't found out exactly. But it's funny to work it out, though, because if we think about the way that if I ask the model to produce me a piece of code that does a basic hello world code to make it very simple, it's obviously picking up elements of that code from lots of different areas in its neural network, right? So it's picking it up from the sharding everywhere. So it's not picking it up from one location. So it's very hard it's very hard to reverse engineer who actually owns the code that it's producing. So is that the catch that makes it okay to be able to do it?
Oh, well, there are a lot of talk about this in the town right now to give the credits or ownership of the original stuff. But for example, Google is scrapping almost all the websites on weekly basis. Everything. So the Bing do, so the AI, OpenAI do, of course, the ChatGPT. So if it is okay for the Google, that's my opinion. If it is okay for the Google to scrap everything, every bit on the internet right now, every week probably, it should be okay for ChatGPT as well at the same time. But there is a catch because regulation is very important, and I'm sure Google does have that on their side. Bing may have, may not. I don't really know about them, but I'm sure about the Google, and I'm sure ChatGPT should have that as well. For example, if I give the formula of atom bomb to some militant element with the help of ChatGPT, so that's very, very, how the world would proceed after that word. So we need to be a little sure about the sensitivity of the data that we are kind of handing over to the users, and we really don't understand who is who and what is what in this space.
Yeah. Do you worry as someone who runs and is CEO for an outsourcing company that the outsourcing is becoming outsourced in a certain way? Is that something that you've considered in this world? I mean, maybe not today. I think we're still a long way away from, this replacing your 620 employees. But do you think about that in the future or do you think it simply changes the dynamic of the type of person you hire? Or the number that you hire, maybe you're able to reduce the workload. Like, obviously these go through your minds, but I'm very interested in, and the timing is beautiful actually to talk to someone in software development running this sort of company.
Right. So you already answered somehow my questions. So the nature of the person or the nature of the skills I would need in near future would change, would drastically evolve into something differently, altogether different. I would need AI engineers more than typical web engineers, probably. I won't be needing graphic designers anymore. I would be needing AI engineers to develop a platform or a system that can understand or interpret my prompts and then generate the probably, or design
Yeah.
probably, or maybe a banner or post or something that. So the nature of the skills required would evolve drastically. And if I would say the number of people required for such engineering would reduce as compared to I do have right now, that's again is a different story. I believe the number of engineers required for the such stuff in future would increase, because the work would increase dramatically. Because right now a human is producing something in 10 days, and same thing is produced by a chat GPT in 5 minutes or something like that. So it
Yeah.
means that outcome that is produced by an AI bot is now the outcome should be fed or inserted or inputted into something that is in the next phase, because everything that is produced from the AI is not ready to go into the production. That needs to be
Yeah.
polished. Yeah.
I was going to say, how do you trust it? How do your guys trust it? Obviously, you've got QA, right? But it's like anything.
Yeah.
I remember in my platform days when I was looking after databases, a vendor might give us a script, and we just trust
Yep.
it to run something. But one day the vendor gave us a script, and it effectively, instead of deleting a couple of tables, it deleted everything, right? So
Yeah.
we didn't check it. So how do you
Yeah.
instill that mentality into your people to be able to, yes, work with it to be more efficient, leverage the feedback mechanism to make everything greater the more you put into it, but then trusting it? That's such a huge part. I think for you especially,
Yep.
given that you're selling the services to a business and doing the outsourcing.
That's right. All right, so there is a middle tier of quality assurance team. I have a full-fledged or a huge department of quality assurance. 40 people, around 40 people working in the quality assurance department right now at InvoZone. So whatever is kind of marked as ready or marked as to be shipped by the engineering team is quality assured by the quality assurance team, QA team, that we call QA team. So QA team is ensuring each and every bit that we plan to deliver to the end clients and customers. So everything is checked, human checked, efficiently, effectively, and on daily basis before we deliver to the client.
Yeah, makes sense. I knew that was the answer, because obviously you've got your
Yep.
processes in place. I actually think that that's a good reason to use companies like you, actually, because if you think about someone who, you talked about the challenges of internal development and outsourcing and the challenges of in-house teams. So maybe an in-house team might intrinsically trust the output of ChatGPT more and just go, yep, all good. But then they're potentially putting themselves at risk. So still putting it in the hands of the professionals is going to be the best outcome for everybody. So I absolutely believe it doesn't get rid of these sorts of houses, right?
For sure. I would go back to the days when WordPress was quite popular, and non-technical people, laymen, were even trying to create their websites using WordPress. So anyone can go to WordPress, install it, and then pick a theme and pick some plugins and kind of set up the data and pages and all that. But at some point in time, they kind of start feeling a need of having a technical person to take that website forward, because now they want to have some custom features, customizations involved, and some technical support involved. So now they are blocked. At that point, they start searching or struggling with the kind of software engineers or vendors or companies who can handle their website and taking forward. So they can initiate something, but to take it forward, we really need a technical support or tech savvy teams or companies who can help us there. So similarly with AI, we can generate to some level, but at some point in time, after taking things forward, we need someone who is, or some company like InvoZone, who is really expert and it is their day-to-day job, kind of supporting or providing the maintenance and further development enhancement into such systems to the customers and systems.
Beautifully put. Yeah, I love it. That's a really good discussion there. We could talk for another couple of hours on this whole topic. It's so relevant, and it's actually, again, the timing talking to InvoZone is great because you're putting a great perspective on it and you're telling it to the people. I want to just finish off. I know that specifically around your generative AI product, you've got something that you've worked on in the last couple of months. Just maybe give a quick plug to that and what that is.
All right. So recently we have a product named invocom.io. So Invocom is a sales automation kind of chatbot. You don't need any salesperson anymore in your team. You just plug in it into your website, and anyone who is coming to talk about your products or your services and want to know more about your services, products, their prices, and what you offer, what you don't, how you can solve their problem and whatnot, you simply need to chat with a chat bot, a generative AI-based AI bot, and AI bot would solve almost all of your questions and kind of sign the contract with you as well at the runtime and start work, and then pass it to the, of course, the human intelligent team who is on the back end. So that is a kind of sales automation bot. So you don't really need a sales team after having this InvoCom bot.
And how is that different to the current or previous generation of chatbots that were in play? Because chatbots have been around for a while. So how has this evolved?
If you chat with InvoCom chatbot, you won't really realize that you're talking to a bot. You would feel like if you're talking to a human, exactly like to a chat GPT. If you talk about which you're kind of generate some content from the chat GPT, it is so relevant and so accurate, providing the so accurate information that sometimes you can get confused that if it is produced by a human being who is intelligent enough or by a chatbot. So exactly, we are using LLM models, large language models with InvoCom. That's the latest technology, the GPT-4 models. And you would get confused if you're talking to a real human salesperson or a chatbot.
Okay, no worries. I guess if you ask them about commission or something, that would give it away probably, something a little bit more human in that sense. But no, that's awesome. And is there anything else that you're working on that's kind of cool at the moment that you want to highlight?
Oh, yes. At the moment, we are working in a healthcare project that healthcare, because previously we've been seeing some sort of systems where diagnostic systems based on technology that helps the doctors or medical practitioners to diagnose someone's problem. So right now we are working on a system that kind of take the data of a patient and then give you the diagnostic reports and analysis on the base of all the data or medical data record, feed it or insert it or trained into the model. And it's so accurate sometimes that practitioners are getting so much help out of it. That's something that we are working on right now. It's project in progress right now, and maybe it would be completed by the end of 2023.
Okay. And maybe give me one game that you're working on that's quite interesting, because obviously everyone loves a computer game.
Right. So we are working on Cardano for Speed. Cardano for Speed is a play to earn game. So play to earn game means as far as you are playing the game, you are earning the NFTs. NFTs are kind of blockchain tokens that you can convert into cryptocurrency, and then cryptocurrency can be converted into fiat currency as well at some point in time. So Cardano for Speed is already live. That version 1 is live, and we are working on version 2. It is a kind of car racing game, but with stunt, with custom body shops, and you can change because the car lovers understand the custom body of their cars. So if you want to change the rims, change the tires, change the body, change the lights of your car within the game, that you can do without any problem. Because most of the time, all the Need for Speed or other car racing games, they do have one car, and you have to pick out of those all options. You cannot customize your car. So this is for car lovers specifically, and is kind of play to earn game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that I definitely saw that part of DeFi as being the future, and there was lots of play to earn games coming out, but I think they're obviously maturing. So that's cool. I love that sort of stuff. But hey, we could have chatted for a lot more. This has been a really good conversation. Again, something different that we don't usually do on Great Things with Great Tech, but it was really good to get an insight. Again, the timing is beautiful. Some of the commentary around what it is to be a development house in this world of generative AI was really, really good to hear. So, hey, thanks for being on the show, Furqan. And look, if you aren't subscribed or you're new to the show, once again, please head to gtwgt.com. You can find me at Anthony Spiteri or at GTWGT Podcast. And with that, I'd like to thank InvoZone for being on episode 69 of Great Things with Great Tech.